We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and my guest today is Susan Kirby, and the topic, speaking to convert. Okay, and Susan was hearing me talk about my hours on Clubhouse because she was listening in the audience as my last interview. And I found out I have a fan on Clubhouse that I interviewed last year, and he tried to DM me and didn't check. But speaking to convert, the first time I ever saw speaking to convert was when I was on Clubhouse, literally offering free branding evaluations of their business and having the Calendly, and I was converting like crazy. And it was when Clubhouse was really doing well, and it was around January, February. I would get on stages and 50, 60, 70 people, and I'd have my Calendly booked up constantly. Yeah. That's the first time ever not using a radio show or networking where my clients refer to get business. Well, Susan's going to teach us today how to speak through converting and using speaking to convert. And I think that Clubhouse is a great explanation of how the power of your voice can make you money. Susan, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
Thank you. I'm awesome. And I recognize that just because we're out there speaking, which a lot of people are now out on the, Zoom or on their Facebook Lives or in Clubhouse, just because they're speaking doesn't mean they're being heard. Right? So there's this piece of not being heard is the same as being silent. We might as well be quiet. So this is really about how do you speak to be heard for your own message. Yes.
Right. And a lot of people get on a podcast, they'll get on a radio show, they'll get on a stage on Clubhouse, and they don't get anyone to that converting process. Or the easiest thing, and I've done it where I've spoke at different events where every time I spoke at an event, a real live event, I got business. Why? Yeah. Because people, once they can hear a person's voice, they trust them. And if they're physically there and you could sit down and talk to them during intermission or something, you get business. So Susan, what is the biggest problem why some people can't convert through speaking?
Well, one of the things, people are being who they've been trained to be. There's that part of like, we've all kind of watched other speakers and we think this is how we're supposed to do it. So we get all polished up and try and deliver this perfect talk. But people don't buy perfection. They buy authenticity. They buy connection. They buy humanity. Yes, you have to have an expertise. But if you don't share where your vulnerability is, they'll not actually see themselves in you.
Yes, I agree. And sharing that vulnerability is meaning really telling a story, telling people who you are, what makes you tick, what's the process, right?
Yes. And what I say is you need to find where I call it the miracle zone. It's like that center of the intersection of where you've been given some God-given gifts. Like we all have gifts that we have that we sometimes don't flaunt, so to speak, because we don't want to be shamed for it or we don't want to be told anything. But it's those gifts that if we don't use them, we're not being true to our own voice and our own gifts. So there's the God-given gifts, and then there's those parts I call our well-trained talents. And some of those well-trained talents, we didn't go out to get trained in. I say our life is preparing us for these moments to give these messages. And so we look at all those things you've been preparing for in these trainings, and you put in those messages, but they're the messages that every story isn't the same. It's a story that your client would have heard. It's like where they see themselves in your story. So there's those pieces where you have your God-given gifts, your well-trained talents. And then the third circle where I say where they come in together is that piece of being available for the call. That's that part of what is my mission? What am I here for? Why am I talking about this? And when you find that intersection of your trainings and your gifts and your calling, that's when it's your voice. That's when it's as if you're speaking, as if there's a flock of birds and you're one of the birds and your voice is what's heard by the people who are looking for you. And what I say is if you're not shining your light, your people can't find you.
Okay. So to give this, so for the short period of time that we have today, Susan, what would you say is the best way to convert somebody, like a quick tip to involve when you're speaking to get that conversion of the people listening to you?
The biggest secret to conversion is caring about what you're talking about and caring about who you're talking to. But even bigger than that is, I say, when your focus is on the people that your message impacts. So like right now, you and I are speaking, but we're not speaking for ourselves. We're not even speaking really necessarily for the people who are listening, but for the people who are listening, the difference they're going to make in the people they're speaking to. So it's that piece of when your focus is on the difference you're making in the world. I don't have to get people to speak up or to speak loudly or to look eye to eye because they care.
They get it. They get it. They get it. They completely get it. So based on that, Susan, what would be right now people can find information on you, and the people that we want listening now to understand how they convert through speaking, where can they go?
And go to speakandshineyourlight.com and find all about events coming up and other things I can do to support you.
Awesome. And the thing, I guess, the power of your voice, what does that build? The trust. That's the big thing, that you build a trust when people trust you and believe in you and can really see who they're really going to potentially work with by speaking. If you get it and understand it and show that you really care, they're going to call you. They're going to contact you, right?
Yes, because it's that connection. You can talk about the same thing that someone else is talking about, but if you hide your special uniqueness, they're not going to see you as different. So it's the time for you to shine.
All right. Well, thanks again, Susan, for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil. I appreciate it.
Or you're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.